Week 13 was an all-time gross slate. You barely needed any points to ship tournaments. We're going to break it all down on both DraftKings and Underdog. We'll check in on some Eliminator and Best Ball Sweats. My Big Elim team is still cooking. I'll show you guys that. We'll do a little Monday Night Football preview, and we'll take a look at the Pick'em lobby as well, which actually saved my day yesterday. Shout out to both the cores on Off and On the Clock and the Cram hitting for the people. I'm Pete. This is the portfolio review. Let's do it.
I suffer from a debilitating condition known as atropic chochitis.
Peter's one of the greatest depositors I've ever seen.
Trust the process. Let's go. Let's go.
I got auto matched with Levitan. This is bullshit.
If I just go the other way in that 66, I win all the money. All the money.
If I had 150 lineups, I'd win too.
Process over results.
Illuminati make a bitch go crazy. I don't know which one of these my baby. Bust out AP, close 5 bullets in your head like KD. Bust it, bitch go bust it. And I had 10 pints with me in Russia.
Hey everyone.
Hey everyone. Indeed, how are we doing on this Monday morning here? GMs to Chris, GMs to the GOAT David, who always stays in the green and always keeps the green rolling around here with the gifted memberships. As always, David, very thankful for you and stoked for what an awesome season you've had. What's up, Mike? He was praying for Nick Folk to miss the field goal because he had 1% Tyrod and 0.8% Adonai Mitchell in the main BR. I saw a few of you guys with that stack. We will review those. That was an awesome, awesome play to get on. Congratulations, GMs. As Josh mentions here, we are finally off the schneid with the cores, both Off and On the Clock and the Cram core hit yesterday. It was very nice to help that offset some of the losses in the tournaments. GMs, pour some of that coffee out for Justin Jefferson. Yeah, so much for the Brosmer, right? Yeah, that was pretty rough. Ran into a wagon of a defense in Seattle. I do think just a brutal spot for almost any quarterback in their first career start. So I'm going to cut him a little bit of slack. But yeah, it's been rough sledding here for Justin Jefferson, and we will indeed pour some coffee out for him here. Yeah, that was a good coffee pour. I know a good one when it happens, and that was a good one. What is up? Tilton getting the gifted membership. Gazer, if you just go the other way in that 9v9, you win all the money. 4 degrees here in Minnesota. Yeah, I can't compete with that. I just went on for a run. 38 degrees here. I was looking at the weather in Kansas City, where I'm going to be later this week for the Dog Bowl, and I'm pretty sure it was like 15 degrees, or that's what it's projected to be there. So we're going to have to bundle up for that one. Brady says, GM still suck at DFS, but didn't get the blade. Brady, were you the one that was floating the idea of Shedeur Sanders yesterday? I hate to blow up your spot. That was a behind the paywall comment, but hopefully it wasn't because you played Shedeur Sanders. Angelina, good morning. I could swear, Angelina, did I see your name at the top of the leaderboard somewhere? I was scanning through some of the Underdog tournaments, and I could have sworn I saw an Angelina somewhere. Let me know. What's up, Expendables here? 2 lineups, 2 1v1s, and it cost me my best weekend ever. 42nd in the SPY, 59th in the Millie. It hurts, but I'm choosing gratitude. My goodness, man. First of all, thank you for the super chat, and I'm so sorry to hear that. 59th in the Millie is no joke to get that high up there, so congratulations there. Steelerman says, everyone is complaining about the slate, but I think the lower scoring slates are the best for us contrarians. Yeah, I generally agree with that. I think the difference in why this slate was so gross is because the thing that the contrarians are generally able to do is still correlate around a game environment or a block of players that the field isn't getting to, but no games really went off yesterday. So even the contrarians, like you would have had to have been one-off contrarian to like get all of those pieces right. I guess the Bijan and Adonai Mitchell, mini correlation, the Vidal, Brock Bowers, those were 2 that were somewhat correlated, but it was really hard, I think, and you'll see from my lineups when I pull them up, like I got to some contrarian stacks and it didn't matter because you needed the one-off pieces. And so that's why I think it was the gross slate, not because it was low scoring, but because there was no concentrated blocks of points on a single team. All right, let's actually pull up some lineups because this is more interesting to talk through the lens of some actual teams here. So I will get my two teams. I played two main teams, one in the big spy and one in the big red zone here. I've been really only, I've been doing a little mixing and matching and tossing them into some of the, smaller single entry tournaments. But for the most part, I've liked how I play when I just focus on one or two lineups. I did end up cashing in the spy again, which is nice. I think I've cashed in the spy 3 out of the past 4 weeks. So at least putting together some, non-atrocious lineups. This one was the Matthew Stafford premium double stack. So Matthew Stafford comes in at 5%. This was a spot we were talking about on the Cram where, they had one of, if not the highest team total on the slate. Really nice spot against Carolina here. And kind of the game script you dream for, Matthew Stafford in a negative game script having to throw. He comes in at 5%, only scores 14.62 points, partly because of the 2 interceptions, partly because both Corum and Kyron score. I get Puka Nacua at 17.7%. He only scores 13.2 points, but then Devontae Adams at 8.3%. He has the 2 touchdowns, 21.8. I did bring it back with Rico Dowdle, and that was really, I think, what ultimately hamstrung this lineup at $6,900. Only the 9.9 points from him. And, just hand up, like I kind of stubbornly had been playing this Rico Dowdle spot saying they can't keep doing this Chuba Hubbard stuff, right? Like Rico's been the better rusher, but Chuba is giving them an element in the receiving game that they clearly really like. And this is just way more of a split than I could ever afford to pay at $6,900. So there was a reason he was 0.9% owned. I liked the, story it told for this lineup where they're having some success on the ground. And again, I thought I got the game script I wanted. The Panthers are in this game. If you would have showed me this score, Carolina 31, Los Angeles 28, I would have said, yes, please give me the Stafford premium double with the Rico bring back. But that doesn't explode. I play Devin Neal because once you play Puka, Adams, and Stafford, you're going to have to save money elsewhere. Devin Neal comes in at 18.8%, 9.9 points. This lineup also has 2 really strong plays on it. Adonai Mitchell at 11.5%, he drops 27.2. And then Brock Bowers at 11% scores 22.3. I did have to punt it off with the other tight end slot, again, to fit in all these high-priced studs. Gunnar Helm, 10.8%. He scores 8.3. And then Raiders defense here. So this lineup, really, really close. I think, the 2v2 here that I probably regret. And this is something I'm curious your guys' thoughts as well. Have we entered a spot with the Stafford premium doubles where Devontae Adams is such a menace at the red zone that him and Puka at these price tags are probably just too negatively correlated? Like the spots where Devontae Adams scores 20, it almost means for sure Puka's not scoring a touchdown. I mean, he has to house one from deep to score because he is a ghost in the red zone for them. They're either going to Adams or they're running the ball. Like Puka just has no red zone role right now. So even on the context of this slate, getting to lock in a high confidence block of points, as JM would say, I just wonder if I need to readjust for the new reality of what Adams means for this offense. And I actually had a one-off Devontae Adams in the other red zone lineup. That's probably the way to play Adams. It's like play Stafford to Puka straight or just play one-off Adams, because this block at 16.5 between both of them, it's just really, really hard for them to both combine for, 40 plus points right now. So yeah, maybe I'm being too hard on myself given the context of the slate and how hard it was to find high confidence points there. But that's just something I've been thinking about. But yeah, otherwise, like if I can come down off of the Rico, I'm having to come down elsewhere. It's probably coming off of Rico and Puka playing just a Stafford skinny. Then you're able to fit in Achane or Bijan there. But I started with the premium double. That was the lineup I wanted to play. It scores 131.22 points, finishes in 528th. A bummer to kind of waste the 80 Mitchell and Bauer stuff and not have the correlated running backs with them. Bijan with 80 Mitchell, Kimani Vidal with Brock Bowers. But again, I'm not going to complain here about locking in a cash, but just thinking through some of the dynamics of that lineup. Gunnar Helm, did Kitchen get your login before lock? Yes, exactly. I know. I was surprised to see that one as well. Chig was a little banged up this week in Jacksonville. One of the things I've been looking at over the year on Fantasy Life is the Jags are one of the worst teams against opposing tight ends here. I need to sign into my Fantasy Life account to show you guys this. But yeah, it's basically the Bengals give up the biggest fantasy boost, 8.6. And then Jags are third right here. Dolphins and Jags, the other ones who give it up to tight end. So I kind of like the Gunnar Helm play at that price point. Robert says this lineup graded really well in the post-lock sims. Did it? Were you grading my lineups in the post-lock sims? Geez, Robert, keep your eyes on your own paper. Unless my paper happens to grade out well in the post-lock sims, in which case, by all means, continue to look. Yeah, Sean says, I don't think you can play them together moving forward at their prices. Yeah, and I think on a different slate too, where, we had Trey McBride was incredibly expensive. JSN, Jonathan Taylor, CMC, like all of these guys were really expensive, and you weren't really able to get them in super correlated ways cheaply. And I just thought the Stafford spot was just going way overlooked. And that was something I kind of wanted to lean into. But I think the Rico was honestly the fatal flaw of that lineup at 6,900. All right, let's look at what won the SPY, and then we can hop over and look at my other red zone lineup. So again, such a low scoring slate that Celts 34 is able to take it down with 179.24 points. It was the kind of week where you could win with 10 points from your quarterback, 10 points from the chalk quarterback, and you can win $100,000. What a time to be alive. CJ Stroud to Nico Collins and Jaden Higgins. So again, that chalky double stack there. Stroud comes in at 12%, Nico 23, Higgins 18. No bring back, although you can pretend that Adonai Mitchell is still on the Colts and scored 27.2 points. So you can pretend like it was a bring back. Actually, no Bijan on this lineup, which is kind of crazy. CMC, instead of Bijan on this team, 4.8%, does score that touchdown, 17.4, but pretty low score relative to that salary, but hits on the Kimani Vidal to Brock Bowers mini correlation here, and then has Breece Hall in the flex, the Breece Hall and Adonai Mitchell plays on the Jets. And then really the huge differentiator here is Seahawks defense. At 3,900, 12.2% ownership, they put up 30 points. Was that the highest scoring play on the slate? I guess Bijan probably scored more than that. Yeah, Bijan scored 33.3, but I'm guessing Seahawks was the second highest score on the slate there with 30 points. So it was going to be incredibly hard to win a tournament yesterday on a low scoring slate without the 30-point score from the defense. You just had to have the Seahawks defense. And the thing that was sick about that is a lot of teams that had Seahawks defense probably had Kenneth Walker on it as well, just because that was a pretty logical correlation. Kenneth Walker was projecting well, was pretty popular. Naturally, you pair that with the game flow of the Seahawks D, but in that case, you're probably not winning a tournament because Kenneth Walker was a flop. So one-off Seahawks defense against the Brasmer was what you needed. Yeah, this is a good summary of it here from Brad. First 3 minutes, HN TD, CMC TD, Adams TD, let's go. And then nothing happened for 7 hours. I will say, I had one of my least tilting days of the year yesterday. We didn't do the Shipcast because we did the Wednesday Thanksgiving show. So we took Sunday off. And basically, how I normally sweat my teams, I don't look at any specific teams during the 1 p.m. window. For the first 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. slate of games, I do not pull up a single team. I like not being in, staring at the pot, waiting for the water to boil. I know who I have stands on. I remember some of my stacks, some of my teams, etc. But I don't want the agony of staring at a team for, 7+ hours. But then we sit down and we do the Shipcast. And so naturally, I'm pulling up my teams. I'm looking at the dog bowl qualifier. I'm looking at stuff. And then I'm like, okay, well, I really need this to happen. I really need this to happen. And then I enter the sweat zone, like everybody else. But yesterday, I was like, you know what? I'm not going to be at my desk for the Shipcast. There's nothing that's compelling me to have to go look at my specific teams. We put up the Christmas tree. April was having a blast putting the ornaments up. We were getting the wreaths on the front door. I didn't look at my teams until an hour left in the slate. And even though things weren't going incredibly for me, I will just say from a mental health and a mental standpoint, it was one of my most enjoyable Sundays yet. And I didn't even win much money. So that there's a lesson in there somewhere. And I know everyone's different. Part of the appeal is sweating those lineups. For me, I find my mood to be in a lot better place when I'm not hawking individual lineups. So that's just my little pro tip. If you find yourself in a bad mood on a Sunday, maybe try that little hack there. Okay, let me look at the red zone lineup here. This lineup, man, I was really excited about this lineup in the ownerships I got here. And this is kind of going back into making a contrarian play on this slate and just not quite getting the pieces to work out. So I wanted to run a Baker Mayfield stack. He was another one that I thought was going overlooked based on just seeing some of the ownership, talking to people during the cram. So I did Baker Mayfield at 2.7%. I stacked him with Igbuka, who was, not super sneaky, 19.4%. I did just toss in the tight end there, K-Dot, and 2.5%. And then my sicko bring back, and I talked about this on the cram, was Zonovan Knight, Bam Knight. He comes in at 0.5%. I thought he was such an awesome play. He had back-to-back games with 4 receptions, back-to-back games with a touchdown. No Amari DiMarcado. Michael Carter is kind of a non-factor for them. He'll get some empty calorie snaps and touches, but nothing meaningful. I mean, Bam Knight was kind of the engine for them. He had 62 rush yards. He had 36 receiving yards, including the receiving TD, 3 receptions again. So a pretty strong floor ceiling combo here at 5,200.5%. And I thought kind of a natural bring back opposite the Baker stuff, and then not paying the high price tag for Trey McBride. So I liked this block of players, but Igbuka only scores 8.2 points. K-Dot only scores 2.9. And then it's a shame to waste this because I have Adams at 10.3%, one off 21.8. I have Nico Collins at 22%, 21.5, and Brock Bowers. I lock button Brock Bowers in both of those flexes. He comes in at 10.6, drops the 22.3, but then the main stack, the Kenneth Walker chalk, that's the other running back piece. And then my Browns defense scored 1 point. So, man, it's the rare thing where I hit a lot of the one-offs, Adams, Collins, Bowers, but just could not get that main stack around it. But yeah, I actually kind of like this lineup better than I think even the Rams premium double. I think from a salary perspective, it makes a little more sense. I think one thing to think through if we're looking at input volatility for projections, we probably need to adjust how we're thinking about Emeka Igbuka at this point. He ran incredibly hot on touchdowns to start the season. Doesn't mean he's not good. Doesn't mean he's not a baller. But we've started to see the touchdown regression coupled with the return of Chris Godwin to the lineup. And I actually kind of want to pull up what the utilization to make sure I'm not just, talking out of school here and seeing that if what I saw in the game yesterday is matching up with the usage. But Godwin was much more involved in his second week back here. Also dropped a brutal touchdown. I mean, Baker hit him right in the stomach there, and he dropped one, which is super frustrating. Let's see here. In week 13, I guess so. Igbuka still had a strong target share, 20% for Godwin. The in zone targets, though, 0 in zone targets there. So I guess Igbuka is still out there a ton, 32% of the targets. So maybe I'm being a little overreactive to the Emeka Igbuka stuff, but the in zone targets for Godwin to have 100% and none for Igbuka, that's certainly noticeable there. But yeah, probably just a little bit of run bad on not getting red zone looks, Godwin dropping that one. But I do think Igbuka's price tag should probably start coming down a little bit, 6,500 at this, cost right now. I don't know. Maybe I'm being too much of a prisoner of the moment. Godwin did look good, as Joe says here. He did look really good. 6,500 ETN sub 5 DK points. Yeah, that was one I clicked a little bit on Underdog. I was not tempted by it on DraftKings. I thought Leone made a really sharp point. I think it was on Establish the Million this week where people were kind of, I think, asking him about the ETN projection. And one of the things he mentioned was he was not confident that ETN had fully distanced himself for Tootin, that there was still this element of kind of ping-ponging, riding the hot hand. Obviously, Tootin was banged up a couple weeks ago with the ankle injury. And that's kind of what we saw happen again yesterday. I should actually go look at the exact splits here again to make sure I have this right, but Tootin was much more involved there than I think the ETN Bulls would have hoped for. Look at this. Only 47% of the snaps for ETN, 55% of the rush attempts. Tootin there at 36% of the rush attempts and similar amount of targets. So this is way more of the like Kenneth Walker Charbonnet split variety than it is, feeling good about ETN, even in the good matchup there when you have Lawrence as a threat at the goal line, when you have Tootin as a threat at the goal line. And you look here, look at these 15 inside the 15 rush attempts, 0 for ETN this week and 67% of them for Tootin. So yeah, 0 versus 2 inside the 15. So it was just going to be really hard for ETN to smash when he's basically a non-factor there at the goal line. And I don't know how to project this going forward because it does seem a little herky-jerky from Liam Cohen on it. I think it's just being more price sensitive. And when the field's getting overconfident in one or the other, it's probably just zigging and zagging to whatever one the field isn't on. All right, I'm going to pour a little more coffee here. So yeah, this was my team in the red zone. I feel good. I feel relatively good about how I played constructing these lineups. I got on the spots I wanted, a couple fatal flaws in each of them, but compared to some previous weeks where I look at a lineup and I'm just like, what the hell was I doing? I felt good about the ownerships I was getting here. Pretty interesting to see a lot higher scores in the red zone. There's 4 over 180 here in the red zone. Same size contest, 4,369 to 4,444. And yet 5 more scores over 180 here. Grandpa Buzz takes it down. Look at this. He had the Stafford to Adams. Okay, so this is the lineup I should have made. This was the correct version of the Matthew Stafford team. Matthew Stafford to Adams with the Jalen Coker bring back. Shout out to Crutches. Crutches was all over the Coker play on the Cram yesterday. That one at 1.4%. That was the bring back. Don't pay $6,900 for fucking Rico Dowdle. Pay $3,400 for 17.4 points from Jalen Coker. And then you get, this is kind of sick. Look at this lineup. Goes double Jets wide receivers without Tyrod Taylor. So trying to access the ceiling with Stafford and just getting the block of Jets points from Mechie and Adonai Mitchell. And again, Mechie only scores 5.7 points, but it doesn't matter because the block gets you 33 points from a combined 4K, 7.4K receiver. You'll definitely take that. You hit the nuts at running back, Bijan and Achane, and then Kyle Pitts as the bring back opposite this. So this lineup is sick. This is my favorite lineup I've seen so far, just tabbing through some of these because it makes such logical sense with the Stafford Adams Coker bring back, block of points, Jets cheapies, Kyle Pitts oppo, and Bijan oppo. So really playing into that Atlanta, New York game, and then playing the top chalk play of the slate, Devon Achane, who comes in at nearly 60% owned here. And then of course, let's not fail to mention Seahawks defense. You had to have Seahawks defense, but I like this one here from Grandpa Buzz, 187.62 points. Pete, I failed you with the Cam Ward play. No, you didn't. You didn't. I mean, JM, did we do a Cam Ward play on the block? I'm pretty sure we did. It was a week to get to some of those cheap quarterbacks, right? We saw teams win with CJ Stroud. You certainly could have won a tournament with Tyrod Taylor. If you had the Tyrod to Mechie Mitchell with the Bijan bring back or the Kyle Pitts bring back, Kyle Pitts scores 15.2 points at 5.1%, 4K. That'll certainly play. So yeah, it was a frustrating week because some of those things we were on were, directionally accurate, but there were just so few places to actually get those points that you kind of had to be perfect in that regard. I did bookmark the winning team from the Millie Maker. Let me pull this up for you guys. This one was kind of a trip. It's always a trip looking at these. It's a naked Jacoby Brissett lineup. Naked Brissett. which is kind of crazy to me. Like if I would have seen a Brissett lineup, would have been like, oh, they paid up for McBride and they got that stack. Jacoby Brissett, he has not gone under 20 points in a start this year. He hits the 300-yard bonus, 301 pass yards, 23.64 points. Jacoby Brissett just has this Goldilocks zone of points. He's like between 20 and 26 points every single week. Take it to the bank. But naked Jacoby Brissett here. He gets the Kimani Vidal, Brock Bowers mini correlation, gets the Bijan 80 Mitchell mini correlation, has Tedoroya McMillan, has Nico Collins and Dalton Schultz. So basically plays the Nico Schultz double stack without Stroud, because that's a 13-point difference going from Brissett down to Stroud. That 13 points is enough to swing probably $900,000 plus there, if not more. Double tight end lineup, and of course Seahawks D here. But yeah, pretty nice lineup. The lowest scores in this one, McMillan at 11.3, Schultz at 12.5. Just hit every single important piece. And, this is one I'm just never going to build. It's kind of crazy, like, to build this lineup. I guess, how are you messing it up? If you go down from Brissett to Tyrod to stack that up, or even a Bryce Young, who I think would have played decently, you're probably spending the money elsewhere and ruining the lineup. So whatever B Mosley 24 did here, congratulations. Naked Jacoby Brissett. What a year. T-Day says Yuta ran his Tyler Shuck stacks. Makes sense. Yeah, it's kind of fun. Like at this point in the year, whether it's like projecting ETR stuff, what JM's going to be on, what's Yuta's going to be on, you kind of have like a feel just based on their play style, what they generally like, where they're going to be at. It's kind of fun to, I feel like I could have guessed that for Yuta, that he was going to be on the Tyler Shuck stuff once we saw that popping and run the Sims. And that's definitely the angle he likes to play. Pugfather says you have to deconstruct everything to build this. Yeah, I will say there is a lot of correlation in this lineup though, right? 2 Texans, 2 running back and wide receiver pass catcher pairings, Vidal to Bowers, Bijan to 80. But the quarterback thing is where I would get tripped up, because that's what I was trying to think. Like, even if I knew, like, I wanted to lock button Vidal Bowers, Bijan 80 Mitchell, I'm still probably getting in some kind of stack here. I'm probably forcing some kind of stack. I think I just end up having Stroud here, right? Like, that's probably what you have. You probably have Stroud, and then you pay up from McMillan. You take your savings and you get up to like a 7,500. Could you get up to Adams there? Yeah, I don't know the exact difference there, but maybe. But losing those however many points from Brissett down to Stroud then doesn't make it a Millie Maker winner lineup, which is why this contest is so impossible. Because you need to hit the nuts, and then you need a little Galaxy Brain pixie dust sprinkled on top of the nuts. All right. I think that's about it for DraftKings here. We will move on here to Underdog. And you know what? I'm going to start with the positive. I'm actually going to start with a little pick'em review. Normally there's no pick'em stuff to review because it's just a graveyard of red dots. But we had 2 of the cores go home or get home. And one thing that's super nice about them, one, I use my profit boosts generally on the core, although I didn't have a profit boost for the Sunday AM one, but this is the one we built on often on the clock. Got to hit it with the 60% profit boost. Let me zoom in here a little bit. And both Nez and I went haterade for ours. Nez went Puka Nacua lower 17.25 fantasy points. He scores only 10.2. I think the thesis there is so strong right now where Puka has to score a touchdown to clear this fantasy point number, and he's just not involved in the red zone. So I think that was a super sharp call by Nez. I went Christian McCaffrey lower than 69.5 rush yards. He ends up with only 53 rush yards here. I felt really good about that one. Like Christian McCaffrey, he's going to get his touchdowns. He's going to catch his passes. But this line for a rushing matchup against the Browns, who again, the DVP on them, they have been one of the best rushing defenses there. So with Christian McCaffrey kind of losing his juice as a rusher, I felt really good going lower than this big number. And then John flagged James Cook higher than 2.5 receptions. He's been hitting this number in basically all of these games. I thought there was going to be a little sweat there for a second. I want to say he had 2 receptions in the first quarter, and then it was a little quiet until the end of the game. He gets that 3rd reception. So yeah, this was nice. This was $50 into 716. And one of the other nice things about what I've noticed doing lowers with the champions format, as opposed to just the 1-for-1 with the house, aka Underdog, where you have the fixed payout, this is within a pool of players. And if you are on lowers as part of your pick'em, a lot of times the payout is greater. And don't ask me to explain the exact math on why that is happening. I think it's just because there are less overall winners, especially on a slate where there weren't a ton of hires hitting. It means there's more money available for the winners, which are often on the lowers. I believe that's why that's happening, but you get a little extra boost. I think this one was projected to win $500, and I get a $716 payout in this champions format. So that was nice. And then on Sunday, so we do a core on the Cram, and the one I wanted to immediately put in was Bam Knight, higher than 2.5 receptions. I was trying to decide exactly how I wanted to play Bam, whether it was through the fantasy points, the rushing, because he does kind of have that all-around skill set. Ultimately, I thought the receptions made the most sense. And then my guy Josh, our pick'em whisperer around here, he flagged Daniel Jones lower than 7.5 rush yards. Thought that was a super sharp call with the issues he has with the broken fibula, that he was going to be, more of a pocket passer in this matchup. He has 1 rush yards. And then Crutches was all over the kind of short area stuff for the Minnesota passing game. Brosmer was a big check down artist at University of New Hampshire, where I learned he was checking down to Dylan Laube back when they were both at UNH. So Aaron Jones, we ended up playing the receiving yards, 17.5 receiving yards. He gets 22. Bam, another nice little payout there, and totally made up for my losses in the BR street. So shout out to John and Nez, shout out to Josh and Crutches and everyone else as part of this collective Deposit Kingdom hive mind that got us back in the pick'em green. I needed that mojo. I needed that wind in my sails here. Love when the cores get home. All right, let's see here. That's enough for the pick'ems. I don't know why this is making me laugh. I'm not even blowing up his spot, but this was one Mathology sent over in the Discord, and I'm always willing to tail Mathology here, but I'm just laughing because it was 5 all red dots here. But yeah, that kind of day. Igbuka, Waddle, Parkinson, DK, Barner, Trey Tucker. Let's see here. Josh is keeping my season afloat. Yeah. Hey, look, I'm not going to lie again. I did not get deep in the lab for this Giants-Patriots game. So I'm going to need you guys to help me crowdsource another pick'em shipper here in a little bit. But let's head over and look at the drafts. Let's look at the drafts. We'll start where we need to start, which is in the big BR here. $30,000 top prize. It was a smaller prize pool this week. Makes sense with Thanksgiving in the abbreviated drafting week for the main slate. However, this ended up filling fast on me. It filled earlier than I want to say previous battle royales. Like the thirst to draft has not slowed down. It is absolutely not slowed down. I was busy doing writing the newsletter in the morning. I was doing some of my side contests, and I had like 15 more entries left. And I look up and I see the BR is at 99%. It had reached max velocity fill rate there without me paying attention. So I had to pummel 15 in at the buzzer just to get my 150 in. So yeah, excited to see if we can get back up to the 40K first prize this week. Also excited to see what the goal line stand is. We were talking on Off and on the Clock how last year it was a $20,000 prize for the 12-person contest the week of the Dog Bowl. So that will be something I'll be keeping an eye out for as well. But anyways, B-Sam takes it down here with a Jacoby Brissett to Trey McBride stack. Certainly makes sense why that was the optimal stack here. You get the Bijan Robinson and Kimani Vidal. Bijan scores 27.8 points. He was clearly the optimal first round pick. You know, Achane was okay, but you really needed Bijan there from the first round, especially because Bijan allowed you to get to McBride. And if you were taking Achane at 1, 2, 3, you were probably not getting McBride to come back to you. I assume there were very few Achane McBride pairings. So really needed a late draft slot this week to do Bijan and McBride. Having Nico, I wouldn't say Nico was like a had to have it piece. You probably could have had Adams there as well, but Nico as your third pick. And then Lad McConkey only scores 11.9. Incredibly rare to see a BR week where you could survive 11.9 from one of your core running back or wide receiver positions. And yeah, that was all it took. Brissett to McBride, Bijan, Vidal, Nico, Lad, 2 Chargers here. Really the only correlated piece, obviously the Jacoby to McBride stack. But yeah, BSAM takes it down 117.4. Really, Kimani Vidal at 40% was like the biggest lever pulled here. Nothing too crazy, but congratulations to BSAM for a nice lineup here. The second place, I think I saw Steven mention this in the chat a little bit ago. Double tight end lineup. I did see this lineup at the top for a little bit there at the end of the day when I first tapped in to look at the scores. Trey McBride 18.2, Brock Bowers 20.3. You know, this is, you know, it's very rare, incredibly rare that a double tight end lineup would be optimal. But man, when McBride scores 18.2, Brock Bowers scores 20.3, that's outscoring guys like Nico and Adams, certainly Tedoroy, McMillan, Ladd in that range. Those are the 2 guys that could do it. You know, McBride and Bowers are really the 2 guys. Kittle normally, but not necessarily in that game environment. So I didn't have any double elite tight end. I basically never do unless it's an auto mistake or something. But yeah, viable here, Brissett to McBride and just play Brock Bowers as a receiver. Bijan, Nico, Tedoroy here, good for second place. Shout out to NF4420. Yeah, this one hurt here. Crutches says, bad week to be taking JSN 101 in every single room. I can show you guys my exposures here real quick, and we can see where things went wrong. Yeah, let me look at just the BR here. Yeah, so my biggest whiff, Jalen Waddle, my most drafted on a third of my lineups, essentially 30.7%. So that sucked. 1/3 of the lineups just gone. And then Achane, my second most drafted. So, you know, there were, I'm sure, some Waddle and JSN teams together. I guarantee that. But even then, about 50% of my lineups just completely dead on arrival. My top quarterbacks, Herbert, Stafford, Allen, Brissett, nothing too off the board here. Top running backs, Achane, Breece Hall, Kenneth Walker, James Cook, Kyron, Taylor, Genty, Bijan. So I had a soft fade on Bijan, and McCaffrey was taking Puka over Bijan. That was obviously a mistake. 11.3% Bijan and way too much of I guess Kenneth Walker. Kenneth Walker was kind of a big stand for me, relatively speaking. I was kind of surprised that his ADP didn't inch up. Should have been more Vidal there as well. Vidal, I only had 7.3%, which feels like a mistake. I liked Vidal a lot, but I guess just was not getting there quite as much. Although when I was getting there, it was often with Bowers stuff. So I was kind of hopeful that I would have a Bowers team with Vidal that would pop up, but just didn't happen. Top 4 wide receivers, all a whiff. Waddle, JSN, Igbuka, Puka, and then down here in Nico and Adams. And then tight ends, Bowers, Warren, McBride, Gadsden, Kittle. A little lighter on Kittle than normal just because I didn't like that game environment, and then a sprinkle on the scroll. So I don't know, nothing too noticeable there. I bricked DeBomb, and this was, again, kind of one of those frustrating things in just getting lineups in the right contests, because I play my DeBombs and fullback dives pretty similarly. Fullback dive generally about double the size of DeBomb, but from a correlation standpoint, I build these out roughly the same. But I brick DeBomb, and then I cash 3 fullback dive teams, which obviously a big swing if the 3 caches are in the $100 contest instead of the $25 one, but that's just how it goes. My best lineup in here was a Brissett to McBride, actually a double with Marvin Harrison. This one did find Bijan in here. I ended up having 3 Bijan Robinson teams in the fullback dive. I think whatever it was, the RNGs had me in the back of the draft board. So was getting to that a good bit. But this one had Kenneth Walker, and that hurt. On teams where I didn't have JSN, I really was kind of going out of my way to grab Walker. Only 8.9 points. Sharp scores a touchdown. There was another time where I thought Kenneth Walker was going to get the edge and house one from deep, but just barely got pulled down by his shirt there. So that's just how it goes. The other team was a Lawrence to Brian Thomas. I liked that one at some lower ownership. This one had some good running backs, Bijan and James Cook, Teteroy, McMillan, and Kittle here. And then the third one that cashed was a Baker to Igbuka with the McBride bring back and Bijan. This one had Genty and Olave. So, decent floor on these teams, 3 that cash. The team that took down the fullback dive was a naked Lawrence, Achane, Kimani Vidal with the Bowers mini, and then Adams and Olave. Nice lineup here. Two minis, Achane, Olave, Kimani, Brock Bowers, naked Trevor Lawrence with Devontae Adams there. Let's see. Steeler Man says, I finished in 5th place with a naked Jacoby team. Could have been an even bigger day if Waller comes down in bounds for the TD. 5th place in which one, Steeler? In the main one? You guys need to tell me your usernames here. Is this you? Oh yeah, Steeler, are you Raise It? Okay, gotcha. Oh wow, look at this. You had Waller at 3.39%. Wow, yeah, I did see that touchdown or near touchdown that you're referencing. So naked Brissett. Who did you go with? So you pulled up Adams for the unique combo, or I guess not really that unique. You got Bijan at 5 and then came back and took Adams and then Nico, gotcha. And then Kimani. And then you didn't, because your wide receivers were tapped out, you didn't have anything to do with Jacoby. So you just took him naked and then did a one-off Darren Waller there. I do kind of like, if you're going to get shut out on McBride with Brissett, might as well do a little scroll down there. That's a crazy lineup. Nice job, man. How long does it take to draft 150? Man, I'm going to try to give you an honest answer while also not feeling awful about how much time I spend drafting these. Typically where I've been at now is doing 5 to 6 at a time. That's kind of my sweet spot. I know some people can do more. I have kind of a checklist of certain spots I'm trying to get to. So I have to be a little bit more intentional about checking combos and stuff. So 5 to 6 is my sweet spot. A batch will often take me like 10 minutes. I don't even want to do this math. I really don't want to know how much time I spend. But if I'm just being completely honest, I'm guessing it ends up being about 3 to 4 hours of drafting. Just the main BRs would be my guess, 3 to 4 hours. But yeah, it's a time commitment. It's for sure a time commitment. The big change I made, and I think I talked about this on some shows, is earlier this year, I was backloading my drafts way too much. Like I was not starting to draft until Friday evening. And it was not tenable. I was rushing. I had way too many. Now I'm starting to draft on Wednesday and getting in, 20, 25 on Wednesday, 20, 25 Thursday, etc. So before the Thanksgiving slate, I felt like I was in a good rhythm. I haven't felt too crunched this week because of Thanksgiving and not starting drafting until Friday. I did feel crunched again for time, as evidenced by having to slam in 15 at the buzzer. But yeah, I don't know if other maxers want to weigh in the chat how long it takes you. I think that's a fair ballpark though. All right, Captain James, you want to see, let's check in on the deposit kingdom here. Captain James, we'll do yours first, and then we'll check in on first. Had the Jacoby to McBride. Look at this. I was wondering when we were going to see our first 80 Mitchell. 80 Mitchell in the deposit kingdom, 0.67%. What a sick play, 20.2 points. Devontae Adams, 19.8. Kimani Vidal, Kenneth Walker. Man, so close to the shipper. Just Kenneth Walker hanging you out to dry here. Really nice team. Congrats, Captain James. And then Shwayne Bomber here had the Jacoby to McBride. Another 6 scroll down. Alec Pierce, one-off Alec Pierce, 0.67%. Emeka Egbuka sells this lineup short at 6.2, but it doesn't matter in this small contest. You hit on the Bijan, Vidal, Trey McBride, Jacoby combo. That was really, really strong, and you could survive, the 22 combined points from your receivers. Really nice lineup there. Alec Pierce was an interesting one. I think both on DraftKings and Underdog, there was a lot of collective fear about Daniel Jones, right? So that clip was going around. I think where we should probably ultimately settle with this, and this dovetails with, Josh liking the rushing lower, is Dimes looked fine to me as a deep ball thrower, right? Like he was connecting downfield. Josh Downs had some nice catches there, or near catches. Alec Pierce had a couple ones. Like Dimes seemed fine to me throwing the ball. It seems like this fibula thing is just going to limit his mobility as a rusher. So I think the way to reorient probably how we think about them for BR purposes is one-off pass catchers. Warren scores that touchdown. Alec Pierce, still that downfield threat, but probably not selecting Dimes unless it's like a nutted matchup, because the thesis behind Dimes was that he steals the goal line touchdowns from Jonathan Taylor. That's the leverage angle. But if he's not running at all, then that's completely off the table. And so I think my mistake this week is I was still treating Jones as someone who, had the potential to score 25 points. And so I was doing some Jones to Pierce, some Jones to Pittman, some Jones to Warren stacks. And I think that's just misguided once you take out the rushing stuff. So I'll be curious to see if the projections reflect that new reality going forward, now that we've kind of seen a big enough sample size that Dimes just isn't rushing with this injury right now. Crutches says auto 50 sets of 10, probably 48 hours, but side contest too. And yeah, this is without me even playing the Wildcat. Like I don't even have time for the Wildcat. This is another good point. Warren's getting the 4th and 1 sneaks too. Yeah, they're protecting Dimes, right? They still have aspirations to make it far in the playoffs. They're not going to waste him on tush pushes, goal line carries. So yeah, this is a note to self. Danny Dimes is not the Danny Dimes he was at the beginning of the year. Peary 24 finishes 3rd in the deposit kingdom with Lawrence to Strange. That was a nice play. I did get to some Lawrence and Strange stuff in the BR. I actually want to go look at some of my best lineups in there to see if I was close to anything. But the double running back from the same game, certainly viable, especially when both running backs catch passes like Bijan and Breece Hall do. Adams and Ted Arroyo. So this was a really heavily correlated lineup. I like this. Lawrence to Strange stack, Bijan and Breece, and then Devontae and McMillan there. Congratulations to Peary. I'm going to head back to the BR. So I had one team in 202nd. Yeah, I knew I had some Lawrence and Strange. So here I had the Lawrence to Strange. I had Adams and Ladd, but I had Genty with Bijan instead of, I needed Kimani Vidal here. Yep, needed Kimani Vidal instead of Genty. And then we're cooking a little bit there. But yeah, I had Ladd on this team, so I probably wasn't even considering Vidal. Probably a little bit of a leak there. One thing I did notice, like if you're using the solver, I do notice that it docks teammates like running back, wide receiver stuff. Like you would never, if you had Achane, it would often not suggest Waddle, which trust me was correct in retrospect, but that's kind of a spot you have to IKB. And, similar thing happens if you take McConkey, it's kind of docking the Vidal thing there a little bit, but I think maybe mentally loosening up those rules on lower scoring, shorter gross slates certainly makes sense to me intuitively. But yeah, I also had I had a sick Bryce Young play here. Would have been nice to capitalize on this. What's crazy to me is I have the Bryce Young with Ted Arroyo. I'm surprised I didn't have this on an Adams bring back. I guess it didn't really matter because I had Nico here instead of Adams. I had Brock Bowers, Jonathan Taylor, and here's my Kenneth Walker. That was really my fatal flaw, was too much Kenneth Walker and not enough Vidal down there, which is a bummer. Look at all of my best lineups are these gross stacks. So I did a Tyler Shuck to Chris Olave with the Achane bring back, Kyron Tetaroya with Brock Bowers. I did not find the Tyrod Taylor to AD Mitchell, unfortunately. Did get to Bucky was a guy on Sunday morning that I started to get nervous about. I started to say, wait a second. Bucky could bury me. Bucky could bury me here at this low draft percentage if they just give him a pretty big workload. You started to read the reports and it was like, Bucky's going to get his touches. He's good to go. I felt pretty underexposed. So I hopped in the mini royale and I did 5 Bucky teams. None of them cashed, but was trying to get a quick little hedge there and get 5 shares of Bucky. And this one was a Herbert to Ladd with a Bucky Trey McBride mini. But yeah, who took down the mini here? It was another Naked Lawrence team, Bijan Vidal, Nico Olave, Trey McBride, Judge 13. Win the gauntlet. I don't know, probably a few more weeks, right? I mean, I guess probably when this fills, way too early wild card is still only at 56% full, but I don't know. I honestly don't know. My mind is still in BR mode. You know, I'm still writing BR on my checks right now. I have not turned over the calendar to playoff best ball. I'm, every week I'm that miner there in the coal mines. I'm not giving up now. I feel good about my process. I saw the Wood was actually, you guys know him from the Deposit Kingdom. I did bookmark this. He has a site which tracks basically kind of the delta between your expected profit and your actual profit, and then your 1% rate. And he has a little formula that I feel like I'm going to maybe bastardize trying to explain it, but it's just looking at all your top 1%. And then I think averaging the prizes across that, just knowing how volatile it is once you are in that top 1%. But he pulled this. This was before Sunday. This was the most unlucky. Here we go. We get to count my Skolanskis. The most unlucky in the big BR this year. I'm here in 6th place with an almost $10,000 delta here. I have a 1.44% 1% rate. And then Davis up here 4th most unlucky. So anytime you want to give Davis shit about his BR play, he can point to his Skolanskis here. My guy Nez. So look at this. Nez, Davis, and Pete running bad in the big BRs here. But shout out to Wood here for creating these things and allowing us to feel a little less bad about not having any binks in the BR streets. You can subscribe to his site there. I need to, I'll put the link in the show notes if you guys want to go and look at your stats on his site. Let's check a few other contests here. Just poke around. I did love that they put the, are you kidding me? Mossy took down the Hail Mary. This is our millionaire friend from the Deposit Kingdom who won a milli on FanDuel earlier this year. The rich get richer. I do love this contest. I only put 3 in this week because I was running short on time, but it's 456 entrants, $20 entry, winner take all, 8K to first. So very cruel dog bowl-esque contest as far as the sweats here for finishing in second. But Mosi here takes it down with a Brissett, naked Brissett, Achane, Breece Hall, Adams, McMillan, and Bowers. So there you go. Tunya, congratulations. Another drop it in the bucket for you there. Cover 3. Looks like I had one decent team up here that finished in 24th place, a Jacoby to McBride. God, I hate looking at all these Genty and Kenneth Walker RB2s instead of Vidal. It's tilting me right now. Bijan, Genty, Harrison, Tetaroya. There's Davis, 4th in the cover 3. Let's see here. Who took down the Badge Bros Brawl? Rob Rhodes, Josh Allen, Achane, Bijan, Adams, Nico, McBride. Look at this. No scroll out the F down gems in the Badge Bros Brawl this week. All over 90% drafted. Nico, the lowest owned at 89% there. Alex hitting us with the famous Phil Hellmuth quote, "If luck weren't involved, I'd win every tournament." Shout out Phil Hellmuth. Any other contests you guys want me to look at? Oh, we always do like looking at the playbook. Oh my God, guys. I think I finished dead last in the playbook. Oh my God. This was our Monday draft last week at this time. I did a Darnold to JSN combines for 6 points. We had Kyron and ETN. We had McMillan and George Kittle. I did not know it was going to be 30-mile-per-hour wind gusts in Cleveland at the time. Holy cow. 43.72. Can we see how close to dead last this is? Okay, it's pretty close. It's pretty close. It's the last page. 1,112th out of 1,128. Let's see what last place did. They took a 0 from Justin Fields. Okay. All right. This is certainly a lineup. Mujay, what are we doing? Justin Fields, Raheem Mostert, Andre Baselia, Isaiah Williams, Adonai Mitchell, and Davis Allen. Okay. All right. This person was fucking around. They should probably find out. They found out. Here's what a real last place lineup looks like. Aaron Rodgers, Kenny Gainwell, JSN, Brian Thomas, Justin Jefferson, Kyle Pitts. I love this shit, man. You got to log in on a Monday to draft an Aaron Rodgers, Kenny Gainwell stack. Oh my God. This might be my new favorite hobby. Looking at the worst teams in the playbook, of which I consider myself one of. I mean, I was trying though. I was at least trying. Someone got a Jacoby swap. Look at this. Someone logged in last Monday and said, I need to click 9. I need to go back to JJ McCarthy. Who are these people? He got swapped. JJ McCarthy to Jacoby Brissett. I want to make a documentary series about the 10 worst teams in the playbook every single week. I am riveted. Look at this team. Who else did he take? He took Harrison Bryant. What are these people doing? Brian Robinson, Rashid Shaheed, Kendrick Bourne, and Justin Jefferson. This is just some of the sickest shit I've ever seen. Okay, this is actually a lineup that tried. This is a lineup that tried. Darnold to JSN. They had ETN like me, Genty, Michael Pittman, Tyler Warren. This lineup tried. Okay. People are, what is going on in the playbook? Daniel Jones, Jordan Mason, Kene Ningwanu. What? David Sills scores a touchdown. This individual, Angie95, logged in last Monday and said, you know what? I need to get David Sills in my playbook lineup. They swap from Keandre Lambert-Smith. What are we doing, folks? Keandre Lambert-Smith, who I once touted on global television and has amounted to nothing, got swapped to Khalil Shakir, who also amounted to nothing, and Taysom Hill. This is incredible. I want to interview every single one of these people. What do you guys think Vikes Queen did? Username Vikes Queen. This is so good. Vikes Queen did a Sam Darnold to Justin Jefferson. She was just like, what if I just pretend it's like the good old days when Sam Darnold was slinging it to Justin Jefferson? Sam Darnold to Justin Jefferson, Jalen Warren, Puka, Khalil Shakir, and George Kittle. I love it. I love when the username matches up. You know, you just can't let Sam Darnold go. I just can't let him go. Vikes Queen. Remykin here. Aaron Rodgers. Where is this Kendrick Bourne stuff coming from? And some of and what's so crazy about it is like some of these plays make sense. It's like, okay, you have Genty, you have Adams, Brian Thomas, whatever, even Aaron Rodgers. Who cares? But how are you getting to Kendrick Bourne at 1.06% and then Mason Taylor? These people need to be studied. Queen Black. What did Queen Black do? Okay, now we're cooking here. Justin Fields. Like, what if the Jets don't make up their mind on Tyrod Taylor? Got to get in my Justin Fields shares on a Monday. Ollie Gordon. Queen Black was sitting back being like, this Achane chalk, man, it's so fragile. These people are taking Achane at 101, 102. No. I'm going to take Ollie Gordon on a Monday. The club's going up on a Tuesday, and I'm taking Ollie Gordon on a Monday. Michael Wilson, just putting the head in the sand. Marvin Harrison isn't playing. No. All right, I got one more of these in me. New Jersey Gordo 09. All right, that one's not fun. Darnold, JSN, Barner. You pass the test. What's up? Okay, here we go. This is our last one. Ariano 24. Justin Fields. Who are these Justin Fields people? Wait for it, though. Everything's normal until we get to the punchline. Kyron Williams, Jalen Warren, fine. Lad McConkey, Brian Thomas, fine. But how do I get unique? How do I differentiate my lineup in the playbook with 1,128 entrants. I got to scroll at tight end. I'm going to scroll. Should I click Jonnu Smith? No, let's scroll a little further. Ooh, should I click Dawson Knox? What if Dalton can get? No, Luke Farrell. And guess what? Luke Farrell was 2.66%. 2.66%. Ariano 24 was not the only person to click Luke Farrell in this contest. I think I need to free up another hour in my week to max the playbook. I think I need to start maxing the playbook. I've seen enough. I am kind of curious now. I don't know. How long will it take me to go all the way back? Let me see this. Should we do we want to go see what last place in the BR was? This is going to take me hours to do. Is there even a better way to do this? All right. Okay, here we go. No, this is going to take me hours. Do you guys want to sit and watch me click this for hours and hours till I get to the bottom? This is what Severance should be. This should be the next season of Severance. It's just these guys clicking over and over until they get to the worst teams in the BR. I don't know how far I can keep going. We're only in the 60s right now. We're in the 60s. I am going to pour a cup of coffee here. It's not going to be at the mic, but I'm going to pour while I'm clicking. All right, we're down to the 40s. We're getting close, guys. We're getting close. All right, we found it. Wait, am I down here? Holy cow, I did it in 2 lineups. Look at this, 32,000th place. I scored 29.32 points. You guys want to see my masterpiece here? Sam Darnold to JSN with the Aaron Jones bring back. I thought that was a decent scroll. Jalen Waddle, Emeka Egbuka, George Kittle. Yep, this is how you finish near last place. You do a 3 wide receiver lineup with a giga scroll at running back. That'll do it. That'll certainly do it. Nice work, Peter. All right, last place. Actually a grinder on the site. I don't think these are going to be as bad. DMC. So it was the Darnold to JSN stacks. Darnold, JSN, Justin Jefferson. Those will do you in. 3 wide receiver lineups, Darnold, JSN. Okay, these aren't as fun. No Bo Sox down here with a very similar lineup. Okay, here's a fun one. Here we go. AGBIH finishes in 4th to last place. They say, you know what? What if Brock Purdy gets hurt? What if Mac Jones comes in and scores 0.2 points? That'll be good. I'll stack Mac Jones up with Christian McCaffrey. I'll play ETN, justifiable play. I'll scroll down to Michael Pittman, fine, whatever. But I'm going to play Tez Johnson at 0.7%. And then I'm going to play Jonnu Smith at 0.11%. That one's the Mac Jones play is wild. It's slightly better than the Justin Fields play. Slightly better. That's the total siege move. What if Brock Purdy gets blown away in Cleveland on the first snap of the game and Mac Jones comes in? So basically, if it's a badge down here, here's Davis. Davis down here with the Darnold, JSN, Waddle, Taysom Hill. Dude, Davis, what are you doing? Davis played Devin Neal and Taysom Hill. That is bad. I will tell you right now, this is a man just clicking buttons. You know, maybe this chart is wrong. Maybe Davis isn't unlucky. You can't play Devin Neal and Taysom Hill. The whole thesis of Taysom Hill is that he gets the touchdowns and Devin Neal doesn't. This is just cruel. Look, I'm down here too, but if we're doing it, everybody gets equal treatment. You can't play Devin Neal and Taysom Hill together. Oh my God. This is one where Davis was for sure multi-tabling, forgot that he selected Devin Neal at pick 25 and then still took him at 36.
Pretty easy to scroll down for Taysom Hill on a Devin Neal team when it's all site credits.
Easy to click negatively correlated players on site credits. What if Taysom throws to Neal for a TD? Honestly, though, like real talk on the Taysom Hill stuff, and John was kind of talking about it on Thursday or Friday or whatever. The Taysom Hill package, it's just not the same anymore. There's no creativity with it. He's not used as a pass catcher. They're not even doing a ton of stuff where he's throwing the ball. So yeah, I think we just got to be done with the Taysom stuff. Like, I don't think the 30-point explosion is in the range of outcomes anymore. Just the way they're using him. And he also just doesn't seem to have the juice that he used to. But shout out Davis with the Devin Neal Taysom Hill combo here. Is this copper prices? No, it's not copper. Who is this? I know Cormer. I recognize that. There's DK. So DK at 4.77%, opposite ETN scores 0.6 points. This is such a funny who's who of like the badges who get bored down here. Most of these are Darnold's. It really is Darnold down here because he was paired with JSN at such a high rate. There's a Tua with Waddle. That'll do it. I had some of that. I don't know if I can find anything else super funny down here. Gadsden was just an air ball. There's mine. There's the Wood. That's going to hurt his chart. There's Artillery Frost, who was on After Dark on Saturday. Okay, here's one. Okay, we got a corker here from Neil 12. They say, you know what? Naked Justin Herbert, and you know what? Even their wide receivers, Puka, Justin Jefferson, Shakir, I can see the vision. Do you know who I need at running back? Jerome Ford. I need Jerome Ford on this team at 0.02%. But guess what? I'm not done. I got to pull an extra lever. I'm worried that my 0.02% Jerome Ford isn't going to be enough to differentiate my team. I'm going to come in with the tight end scroll play of the century. Step aside, Luke Farrell lovers, because I'm clicking Julian Hill. Love it. They did not get the memo that Darren Waller was back. They said, I got to play Julian Hill. 7 more for a 12-person playbook. Oh, my goodness. Sorry, Davis. We're not looking at barely good lineups. We are looking at bad ones. And boy, did you put together a corker. Devin Neal and Taysom Hill. That's a site credits ass lineup right there. League of Items. It is funny how many names I recognize down here. It's basically Darnold and Tua stacks, and then people doing the most absurd stuff possible. Yeah. All right. I'm kind of shocked at how many normal, justifiable lineups there are down here. So there you go. That concludes what I assume, based on the reaction in the chat, needs to become a recurring segment and celebrating the worst lineups on the site. Let's look at the goal line stand, which I bricked. I was trying to get in a little bit more entries. Got in 11 entries here. Let's see what took it down. Wow. Okay. The Jacoby Myers. There you go. So it was a Jacoby Brissett, naked Jacoby Brissett. That was kind of a theme I'm saying. Bijan, of course. Nico Olave, Jacoby Myers, Brenton Strange. That kind of week. Just get all of the boring players who always project decently that no one wants to play. Olave, Jacoby. Look at A-Win up here. This little fucker. Tyler Shuck, Chris Olave, Bijan, Vidal, Kyle Pitts. Dude, this guy, every single team, I think the skeleton key is just to draft Saints, because every time I look at one of these godforsaken A-Win lineups, there's always the dustiest Saints player on there scoring like 6.4 ass points and him winning another $2,000. It's honestly sickening. There's Angelina. Angelina, I knew I saw you somewhere. Shout out to Angelina here. Lawrence to Jacoby Myers, a Judkins, Jawan Jennings mini in double tight end. Angelina did it in the goal line stand. Trey McBride, Brock Bowers. Look at that. Congrats, Angelina. 4th place, 104.76 points, 750 smackaroos. Congratulations. All right. I think that is about it for lineups here. Who took down the Wildcat? Was there a higher score that took down the Wildcat? 116.74 to where's the main BR? No. So just under. But the Wildcat, the double tight end did take down the Wildcat. There you have it. Brissett to McBride. Then you come back. You have Bijan, McBride, and did you go Bowers first? Oh, Bowers slid to 17 here. I do honestly think that's where it becomes justifiable. You're getting Brock Bowers to slide into the range where who was around there? It was like Ladd was in that range. I'm blanking now on what other wide receivers. I guess Waddle was probably already gone. But yeah, I mean, when you're starting to compare the Bowers projection to some of those wide receivers, it probably wasn't too bad. So there you go. Dale Gribble, 5K richer thanks to the double tight end. Oh, God. Imwald alerting me to the fact that Awin won 60K on the blue redacted. He probably didn't even notice that. Unreal. I can't wait to shove him in a locker on Friday. Chosen Deezer, we did a full Thanksgiving review on Off and On the Clock on Friday. We did that at the top of the show. So definitely check that out if you missed it. Yeah, I mean, this is kind of what I'm saying here too. Who Hames, he says the double tight end was a feasible thing just due to caliber of player. I think the combination of caliber of player, matchup, and you did need him to slide to a range there where you're kind of comparing him against Olave, Ladd. I'm forgetting what other wide receivers were going in like ADP 18 to 24 range. I'm just absolutely blanking on that right now. But yeah, I don't think it was crazy. All right, let's you guys want to see my Big Elim team here? It's going to advance. We are still alive in the Big Elim. This has become a fun sweat. My team cooked yesterday. I'm actually in first in this pod, 122.84. I've certainly pulled this up on stream the previous weeks, but I'll give you the refresher. It has Justin Herbert, Bryce Young, and Matthew Stafford at quarterback. So I actually used Bryce Young's score yesterday, 22.54. Had only 10 points from Jahmyr Gibbs. Aaron Jones doesn't crack the lineup. Ramondre plays tonight. Tank. And then the real huge help, like just absolute massive help on this lineup. Kyle Monangai, man, he just keeps stepping up big. Have not had a dependable RB2 for probably the first 6-7 weeks of the season. And Monangai has just been massive. Scores 19 points there on Black Friday. Wide receivers, no massive spikes, but just everybody giving me a nice floor. Ladd hits at 11.9. I don't even use McMillan's score. Pickens hits at 13.8. Jawan Jennings at 11.9. I don't use Addison. I use Coker, 15.4. Don't use Hopkins. And then McBride, evergreen, carrying this tight end room. Dalton Kincaid hasn't played in weeks, but McBride scores 18.2 points. So excited to get this one forward. I believe this means we are going to be down because I'm going to get the $2,500 prize. It means we're down to 24 teams in week 14. Now, the issues here are week 14, I'm not going to have Bryce Young. I'm not going to have Ramondre Stevenson. I'm not going to have Jalen Coker. I'm not going to have Tedoroya McMillan. And I'm also, can someone give me an update on Aaron Jones? Can someone give me an update? Is he dead? Is he just dead? Like, I know he left that game. But is there any chance I'm going to have him, or is he donezo? Questionable to return, shoulder injury. Did anyone see any other reports on him? But yeah, that would be a big one. I guess I can survive a week if Gibbs and Monangai can go. Who do the Bears play this week? So week 14, we get Lions at home versus the Cowboys on Thursday. That's a bummer that game isn't on the main slate for the Dog Bowl, because that's going to be one of the highest total games of the week. That's a bummer. But yeah, I'll take Gibbs. Gibbs versus the Cowboys at home for sure. And then the Bears play the Packers. On the road at Green Bay, not the greatest matchup there. Crutches said Jones had his helmet on the whole time, likely re-aggravated the sprain. Schmo says, watched your video on a limb strategy at the start of the year, stacking week 14 buys, and that's exactly what I did. I'm still alive, but next week I have everyone on buy. Well, one, congratulations. Is that the main a limb? Isn't the floor for prize for week 14 like 10K? Is that what it's at? Also, yeah, we got to check in on our guy, Purple Yosh, who had 2 teams here. Let me head over to bbmdb.com so we can see some of the big limb sweat, or the regular limb sweats. Look at that. All right. Shout out Schmo. Okay. So you're locked up, dude. That is sick. Hey, I love that, man. The fact that you watched the video, stacked up week 14, and you're going to lock up 10K. That's awesome. All right. Let's see our guy Yosh's matchups here. 104.44, 98.62. So you are projected to win here. You are projected to win. You have Drake Maye, Hendo, and Demario Douglas. That is a sick trio to still have while also leading. And you have Douglas blocked, and you're just facing Theo. So you're good, man. I'm locking this one up. I am locking this one up for you. I know that seems very reckless, but the fact that Drake Maye starts hitting your lineup at 6.3 and he's done other than Theo, I think you're good. I think you're good. Let's see the other one, though. The other one, oh my God, bro. Bro, you're going to advance 2 of these to week 14. 116.5, you're done. And all he has is Wan'Dale Robinson. And he has 98.7. So he would need not only 18 points, but he would need 21 points because he has to clear JSN or Franklin at 3.1. So Wan'Dale holding off for 21. I love your chances, man. I love your chances. That is so sick, man. Congratulations to both Schmo and Steampunk Mario. Getting the team to week 14, lock in that 10K. That is, let me pull up. I need to pull up I had the prize chart from my video that I made, and I just want to pull that up again to refresh my memory on these prize jumps for you guys. Here we go. Let me zoom in on this. So yeah, week 13, you guys locked in 5K. We're down to 48 teams. And then if you advance, you lock in 10K and you're in the final 24. If you make, and so then, man, like Yosh, if you are even 50% to get one through, then you're getting one into 15, which is 20K down to the final 12, 50K for week 16. And then at minimum, if you make it to the 3-seat final, you're locking in 76K. Mathology giving me the other Aaron Jones injury report. Aggravated his shoulder. He's going to be evaluated. Yeah, I would really like to have Aaron Jones back. Who do the Packers play this week? At home versus the Commanders. Or sorry, who do the Vikings play? At home versus the Commanders. That's a sick matchup too. Please be healthy. That could be a get-right spot for the Brasmer. It'll be really interesting to see Jefferson's ADP here. If I built all my eliminator lineups for week 14, I'd win too. Jason has an eliminator going. Congratulations. Yosh says, I've already had my best season-long season ever. Even if both lose tonight, really appreciate everything you do. Man, dude, I'm just so stoked you have these sweats. Like this is what this contest was built for. The handful of people who would get to experience this super fun sweat here. And to have 3 people, 4 of you in the chat, all on the right side here. I recognize Philly ETH, another Deposit Kingdom guy here. So we are well represented in the Eliminator finals, and Gunnar Ross here as well. Look at this. Let's get an Eliminator champion from the Deposit Kingdom, shall we? While we're here, we can look at overall portfolio stuff in BBM. Advancing 29 teams, 19.3%. We've noticed our Bash team that was cooking, that slipped a little bit. Stroud, Jones, Herbert, none of them really had good games. Gibbs, Taylor, relatively quiet. Taylor especially. Breece Hall was fine. JSN, that hurts. Yeah, not a great week for this team, but we're still going to cruise to the playoffs, and we'll have better days ahead there. You can see my overall portfolio, 384 teams, 71 advancing, 18.5%. There I am just about average or below average in the big board, slightly above in the puppy, above in the schnauzer, but below in the schnauzer too on 2 entries. So why am I, or no, this is total advancing. Yeah, I think I still have the best team in the Dalmatian. This team, rank in first place here. This is the Dak Love Rodgers. Nice to get the Love score on Thursday. Taylor, Warren, Judkins, Braylon Allen's dead, Sanders is dead, Woody Marks, Chase, Pickens, Devontae Smith, Debo, Diggs, Dobbs, Noel, and then McBride. I can't believe how close we are to sweating out these final pods. This will be, final week. Man, week 14, final week here of the regular season. And then we're into pod mode for week 15. It's crazy. I am not, you know what? I do not think I'm in a single flock. No flocks for me. I don't have 1,500 teams like some of these people. Imwald says, next year I'm forgoing all my weekly winner entries to Max LM because the edge I thought had in weekly winners has produced 50% ROI thus far. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure there is. Like, I think the thing with the weekly winners is I do think there's an edge there, but it's just so hard to realize it with how big that contest is. I think I've said it in previous years. What I'd really like is a $50 or $100 smaller field weekly winners. Maybe something like a 5 max or a 10 max. And that way you could actually tap in for some real sweats each week. But it's just hard to, it's kind of like the element of playing the tournaments on DraftKings where you have to be so perfect across all 9 roster spots that even if you hit on 3 or 4 plays, it's like, okay, I finished 45th in the SPY. I finished top 300 in the Millie. It just feels like the sweats are so out of reach in a contest that big that I think that contest would be a lot more interesting as a bunch of smaller field, like time box contests. Let's see here. Anything else to look at on, let's see what the Eagles still sitting in second here. We pulled up some of these free Tim Tebow teams the other day. What show were we on when we pulled that up? Because might have been on Saturday After Dark. We were looking at the advance rates with Jerry Jeudy. And this guy had multiple teams in the top with Jerry Jeudy because they're all paired with like Gibbs, Taylor, and JSN, which is the same as our Bash team, where Jeudy just ended up being so correlated with the left side of the board and running back heavy starts. Left side of the board was just so goated, though, because you start Gibbs, you get Taylor coming back late round 2, JSN early round 3, Pickens late round 4. And even on this side of the board, you could have had Trey McBride at the 2-3 turn as well. You did really want that 1-2 turn. James Cook, another guy who was often falling to the 4-5. Whoa, okay, so I was wrong. They were drafting this from the middle of the board. They just got insane values. They got Gibbs 106, Taylor 207, JSN falls back. I guess 306 is fine, but Cook at 407, Pickens at 506. Yeah, Pickens at 506 was nice. And now they're getting Colston Loveland starting to come along a little bit. The late Darnold stack was big. Wandell's been a big hit. Pretty nuts to have 2 zeros at running back with Jaden Blue and Eli Mitchell, but just have that hyper fragile build of Gibbs, Taylor, Cook being more than enough. Oh, look at that. Yosh's Eliminator. Sorry, Ryan. Yosh is here week after week. He's also got that green membership badge, so you know where my alliances are. But, I do love me some Wan'Dale Robinson, but good luck to you as well, sir. I think someone asked me this previously, ANS Comedy, if you didn't do content, would you do big board drafts? I did content and I barely did big board drafts. I like taking a break. I need a break after the Super Bowl, so I don't get into a lot of them. How many big board teams did it say I had? Yeah, I only did 30, and this was doing content. So if I wasn't doing content, I don't know. I'd probably have like a couple in there out of curiosity, just to look at the ADPs, mess around. But yeah, probably not a lot. Hi, Davis. The other Davis. All right, I'm going to pour a little bit more coffee. I do want to look at, we'll head over to Guillotine. I want to check out Splash. One of my best calls this week was on the Cram that Kimani Vidal was an awesome tier 8 selection in this Splash contest. So these are through the Swolecast. We've been building lineups on stream here. And Vidal, I just loved in tier 8 because he was completely buried in the app here. And I'm kind of hopeful for this team tonight. So I have a team in 10th right now, but I have a team in 49th that has Henderson left to go tonight. So 137.48. First place is 163. So that's probably out of reach here, but could certainly climb a good bit. But look at this ownership on Kimani Vidal. He was, or on mobile, it showed it. I think he was less than 1%. Does it show the ownership on desktop? It shows it on mobile. But yeah, Kimani Vidal was just a sick tier 8 play here. This team unfortunately didn't have Bijan in tier 1, which was, the Bijan Trey McBride 1-2 punch was really nice. But yeah, Vidal 23.7 points on this low scoring slate paired with Bowers. So I need Henderson to cook tonight. That would be nice. And then I can jump this. But look at this. No Tate 81 anywhere to be found. Myself, David Kitchen here. I see David. See a lot of friends and family up here. But yeah, most people were playing Breece Hall in tier 8, which was solid. But the leverage there on Kimani Vidal was nice to get to. Trevion Henderson. That's my sweat tonight. Let's see here. Mark just let me know that I can see these percentages here. So yeah, Vidal 1.34% compared to like Breece Hall 29%. So even though it's tier 8 with a million options, Breece Hall had a higher ownership than even Bijan, just because Bijan was competing against all the other tier 1 studs. Yeah, so that low owned gem in tier 8, and then Mariota ended up being a nice pivot there as well at 4.4%. I don't remember exactly which tier he was in, but that was a nice one there. But yeah, I'm having a lot of fun with the tiers. We talk about it on the Swolecast. Make sure you guys tune in and keep this getting filled. I mean, we almost got to 556. We were at 523, so a little bit of overlay there. It's a lot of fun game theory, thinking through the ownership with these tiers contests. Let's see, Ben. Oh yeah, I saw the tag on Twitter here. 4th place Bink in the mini and 5th place Bink in the Engage 8. Yeah, I'll pull up your team here. I saw this on Twitter. I think you had the 80 Mitchell, right? Let me go double check. Here you are, Weaver Ben. Yeah. I'm glad you sent this over because I wanted to see one of these in the wild. The Tyrod Taylor 80 Mitchell, very nice there. 0.75%, 0.54%. Really strong stuff there. Achan, Adams, Bowers. It's just like me, man. The Kenneth Walker thing was tough. You needed Vidal back here late. Would have been the only option because you didn't have access to Bijan because you took Achan. But very strong lineup there. Congrats. Always nice to get a shot on goal up there. Imwald played 4% RJ Harvey in tier 8 for 22 points, but played JSN and Puka in tier 1 and 2, so it doesn't matter. Yeah, it's a pretty sick contest. You definitely, like on the Thanksgiving one, you basically had to have Mahomes and Rice to even cash in tier 1 and tier 2, and then you had to have Dontavian Wicks to ship. So it does like really narrow the paths, which is kind of similar in a lot of these games, right? Like there are certain plays. I guess the salary cap element means there's probably the most paths to win on DraftKings, but in these BRs, in those splash tiers, you got to find the nuts there. Walker's running a bigger Ponzi than Birdie Madoff. I actually want to see if the usage was what that was, because we had seen a shift previous to this past week, and I just want to see how much it reverted. Let's look at week 12. What I'm going to do here, I'm going to do the comparison. This is easier to look at here. Let's do Walker and let's do Walker and Sharbs. This is the Fantasy Life utilization report comparison tool, by the way. I'm going to look just these past like 3 weeks. Let's do 11, 12, and 13. So, yeah, so we had seen Kenneth Walker pull away the previous 2 weeks. You know, it was pretty close, 51, 43%. Then he popped up to 64% of the snaps, 32% for Sharbs. And then the gap closed yesterday, 53% to 40%. So yeah, that was a bummer. Rush attempts. Yeah, man, Charbonnet eclipsed him last week. So it's like right when we get roped in to thinking the Walker usage is separating, then it completely flips back there. But yeah, still like on the whole though, the UR score, which encompasses all of this stuff, Kenneth Walker still well ahead of Charbonnet. It's just kind of similar to the ETN and Tootin stuff where it's just messy enough to be annoying. And then if we look at the inside the 5 rush attempts, so again, last week, Kenneth Walker had them all. And then this week it was split down the middle. So it's just kind of herky-jerky usage here between these two guys. From a targets perspective, it's still been way more Walker. I mean, look at like Charbonnet, who again, in previous years, we thought of as the primary pass catching back for them. He's had 0 targets the past 2 weeks, and Walker's been at a 17% target share, 16%. So it's just a mess. Like they're splitting the high value touches. Sharbs is getting the goal line stuff. Walker's getting the receiving stuff. And then they're splitting the rush attempts. It's just a mess, man. It's just a mess. All right, let's look at a little bit of Guillotine here. I think I got one more coffee pour in me. I need it. So I got bounced in that one, the Fantasy Life League last week. I think I'm going to be okay in my other one this week, although I do have a little bit of a sweat tonight. But let's check in on the Deposit Kingdom and the Ship Chasing Leagues here first. All right. Deposit Kingdom. What do we have here? Go to the scoring. Peaked in Guillotine in 2024. Who is this? I don't know these usernames. Is this Dan? I assume it's Dan, right? Because I assume that's what the joke is referencing because he won the Guillotine League last year. So Dan right now has 79.3 points and he needs to get up to 101.74. So what is that? That's like 21 points almost. 21 points and he has one player going tonight and it's Drake Maye. So that's going to be really close. That is really close. Yeah, he's projected for 99.48 and getting blizzy with it. So, yeah, so there's the sweat for tonight. Can Drake Maye get to 20? Certainly a good matchup for it. But that's like a legit coin flip sweat there. We just haven't seen like the monster fantasy performances from Drake Maye in a while. It's been a while, honestly, since we've seen the ceiling from him. I want to see this, these scores here from Maye. So yeah, in week 8, he had 25.3 points. But since then, 15.4, 19.1, 15.4, 17. It has been over a month since Drake Maye has cleared 20 points. But this is the matchup for it, for sure. But yeah, this is the matchup. Then on bye next week. But yeah, it is kind of crazy. Basically, what you would have wanted to do this year is the second after Drake Maye played in week 8, you should have just gone over to Jacoby Brissett. Because Brissett is like money in the bank. Look at this, 22.8, I guess week 10, 17.4, 23.9, 18.7, 20.6. It's been a lot higher on DraftKings scoring with the 300-yard bonuses, but he has just been such a high floor option there. All right, let's look at the ship chasing one here. Yes, I know, Guillotine. Always being reminded, your team has been chopped. I know. All right, look at this. Mr. Daily Rojo, a.k.a. Pat Cram himself, sitting in last place. Or sorry, not sitting in last place. He has 108.64 points, but he's on the chop line because fully loaded here is projected to score 111.84. So he is, 10 points out? 10 points out and has Wan'Dale Robinson. So there's another sweat with Wan'Dale Robinson. Both Pat Cram and Yosh are fading big games from Wan'Dale Robinson. Projected to score 12.3 points here. That will be an interesting one. And I know that people have been sweating this Rojo team because he's got a wagon. He's got Taylor, he's got Barkley, JSN, Pickens, McBride, Achane. Dude has Bowers. I think he has a bunch of fab money as well. Let's see how much fab he has. 83. So he has everybody else dominated on fab. So yeah, you guys are all rooting against Cram tonight. He played Lamar over Maye. Ooh, that hurts. Had Bucky coming back. But man, these running backs are loaded. JT, Barkley, Achane, Cook, McBride, Bowers. So to have all the elite tight ends cornered too, this will be a crazy bidding week if Cram loses. To have all of those guys in this kind of bidding power, JB Phil has 32. JB Phil would clean up. Holy cow. JB is the world's biggest Wan'Dale Robinson fan tonight. With $32 fab and this daily Rojo lineup, he could literally have the entire team. Wow. It feels like this entire contest tonight comes down to Daily Rojo versus JB Phil here. Yeah, how did Pat not play? I will say McBride over Bowers, I completely understand. I would have done that as well. Lamar over Maye. That projection would have been very close. And yet, man, I guess the Cincy matchup was so good. But yeah, Lamar has not been running. That's a tough one. I can see going either direction there. All right. Those are fun. We'll keep tabs on these each week to see who takes down the ship chasing and Deposit Kingdom leagues. We can do a quick review on FFPC. We had a fun sweat with our team with Steph yesterday. This team, we're now into the playoffs for the FFPC here, and we are projected to win by a landslide, 153.06. We still got Drake Maye and Trevion Henderson to go tonight, but we got big games from Brock Bowers, from Jamison Williams, and Olave Jacksonville defense. But this team took 2.8 from Rome on Friday, 9.9 from Neal, 9.9 from Rico, but just having that Brock Bowers and JMO game has been huge. And then this team, if we get this team into the sprint, we have Amari and Hampton hopefully coming back this week. We have Chris Godwin, who's really starting to come on here. Still some intriguing pieces. I think Tootin could be serviceable here. Caleb, when you spot start him in the right matchups, is nice, especially for the sprint, stacked with Rome there, getting some correlated angles. So yeah, this is a fun team here with Steph. She has been our waiver wire hero, taking the reins for all of these teams. So I love that her team is one that's making a push here. The other teams that we have in the playoff one, This is the team with Sean that's projected to win. This team has been playing really well this year. We have the Achane, CeeDee Lamb, JSN combo. So to be able to win with the JSN 4.3 is really nice. We still have Maye to go tonight. We have Harvey coming on, which is really nice. Scores those 2 touchdowns last night. So yeah, this team can certainly cook. The team with Gretsch in the playoffs here, this one is going to be close as well, but we should be good. Our opponent is done, and we have Drake Maye going tonight, and we are down 12. So as long as Drake Maye gets 12 or more, we should be good. This is our team that has Jonathan Taylor and Bowers on it, along with Drake Maye and Adams. So, man, weathering these past few weeks of low Jonathan Taylor scores has been nice. And, you know, we had a tough start-sit decision. The one Gretsch asked us about before lock yesterday was Jaden Higgins or our guy, Harold Fannin. I ended up kind of pushing for Higgins. Ended up not really mattering, 11.5 to 13.8. I was a little worried when Fannin scored that touchdown, but luckily doesn't seem like it will cost us as long as Drake Maye can do his job tonight. Sad that Aronde is not startable with the O-line injuries. Yeah, it's and now that we're back to Ladd emerging, you know, Keenan, QJ, all those guys, it's kind of a whack-a-mole situation where none of them have enough of a target share to really be a confident start. Let's see what the target shares were even yesterday. Because to me, watching the game, it felt very spread out. Let's look at just week 13. Ladd was at 29%, Keenan 24%, Trey Harris, that's the other fly in the ointment. Trey Harris is getting 19% of the targets. Then you have QJ at 14%, Gadsden at 10%. But yeah, that's a pretty big mess there for the Chargers. And now we're going to get Amari and Hampton back as well. But yeah, Trey Harris with a 19% target share. Jeez. All right, we hit on Guillotine. I think it's time to do a little Monday Night Football here. So we obviously have Jets, Giants, and Patriots. Like I said, I have not been in the lab, so it's time to rally the troops. We got the 40% profit boost. I need all of my Pick'em soldiers to the front lines. I need my Josh. I need my crutches. I need my sharps here with the plays for tonight. We got to get this core to hit again. We got the $50 max, the 40% profit boost. One angle I do like a little bit tonight is Demario Douglas. You know, the Giants have been getting beat deep a good bit. I think Demario Douglas could make a little bit of noise tonight. And his lines are really low, 14.5 receiving yards here. And when he has been hitting, it's been deep down the field. 1 reception for 37 yards, 3 for 36, 2 for 34. So you could play him longest reception or just play receiving yards. I'm going to put that in as a placeholder. But I am curious what else you guys like here. I like Dart Fantasy Point. He hit that every single week. He started, let's check out Dart here. 16.25. I like that as well. Yeah, I mean, at Philly would be like the closest comparable to this game as far as being on the road against a decent defense. He hit 19.42 there. I mean, the worry with him. So here's the thing that I would posit with Dart. Do you just play rushing TD? Because he all of his scores where he's clearing this are coming with a rushing TD. He's been at 2-1-1-1 in all of these starts. Like, the reason he's smashing fantasy points is because of the rushing touchdown. So I'm just wondering, do you play fantasy points at even money, or do you just play the rushing TD at 1.63? I guess the narrative is that post-concussion, are they not going to use him at the goal line as much? Yada, yada. But I don't know, man. That's the only thing I'm struggling with is, does he clear fantasy points without a rushing touchdown? Theo fantasy points or receptions. Yeah, I like Theo fantasy points. Josh is with me on Douglas. Okay, it sounds like we have a consensus on Douglas. Tracy receiving for more checkdowns if Dart might not try to run as much. G-Men have allowed 56 rushes over 10 plus yards. What is the longest Hendo rush? Let's see here. That's a good way to play Henderson, where we don't have to sweat the volume. Like, I wouldn't want to mess with 14.5 rush attempts in this kind of matchup here. Longest rush is 14.5. That seems good. What have his, I just go to Google to look at my longest rushes here. Do they have these? Oh, they only do long here for for the receivers. But yeah, longest rush looks good to me. I like that. And these are going to be kind of fun ones that we could slide. So it seems like our suggestions for a Giants piece, if we like Douglas 14.5, Trevion longest rush 14.5, it seems like it's Dart touchdown / fantasy points, Theo stuff. Let's look at Theo. Theo's 3.5 receptions, 6.75 fantasy points, 32 here. Yeah, he's cleared this number, 32.5 receiving yards in in all of the 3 past weeks. He's been at 75, 36, 77. And then what was the other one? Tracy receiving stuff. 17.5 receiving yards. He had 3 for 68. A lot of that damage was done on that single catch, but 3 receptions, 4 receptions. I wonder if you just play that receptions angle here. I think let's save the Dart thing for a second one, Josh, because I think the way I want to play Dart is with the touchdown at that multiplier. And so I think we either go Theo or we go Tracy. Let's look at some of the DVP boosts for specific stuff here. And then we can help break our tie. And if you guys have any other thoughts on this. So for tight ends here, let's see what the Patriots. So the Patriots are giving up a decent boost here. 0.5 point PPR. Where were they? Yeah, they give up the 8th biggest boost. They give up the 5th most receptions to tight ends. So I do like that. That seems nice there. As far as that, let's see what kind of receptions they give up to running backs. Ooh, look at this. And they give up the 3rd most receptions to running backs. Chat, let's do it. This is what I'm going to do. You know, we're not messing it around anymore. We're going to go in. And honestly, what we might do is actually run this twice. Why don't we do that? But we got to choose which one of these we're going to use. Are we going to use Theo Johnson receptions, or are we going to choose Tyrone Tracy receptions? I'm going to put an official poll in this chat here. Tracy receptions for final leg or Theo. The other option would be to sidestep the Henderson run and play both Tracy receptions, Theo receptions. And then we could do like a Henderson slide with Dart. I think this might be the way to go, guys. I think this might be the way to go. And Emoster referencing that the Hendo long rush is pretty hit or miss. I was going to do a poll, but what do you guys think about this? We go Demario Douglas, we go Tracy receptions and Theo receptions right here. And we play this as the core. And then we do a Henderson slide with a Dart touchdown as the other pick'em. I think this is the play. The other thing is we could do Theo yards if we want to not have the reception angle as much. That might be a better way, just the way Theo's been hitting. He's only had 3 receptions, but the yards, he's had a little after catch juice. So let's do that. I like this. Demario Douglas higher than 15.5. Tracy higher than 2.5. Theo Johnson 32.5. We're going to use this boost, get it up to a 9.79. What's my update I need to accept? Okay. All right. Here we go. We're locking this in as the core. And then I want to do 2 more. I want to do the other one with the dart touchdown, rushing touchdown, because I think that's how he hits. And then we'll do the Henderson. We'll do a little slide here. Why don't we slide his longest rush? It's been pretty polarized here. What was the mathology thing? They've allowed 56 rushes over. Is that true? 56 rushes over 10 plus yards? That's crazy. What if we slide him to like 29.5? Or we could take it to like 34.5 if you want to get frisky. How frisky do we want to get? 40-yard run? How about that? That gets us up to about a 20x. Dart scores a TD, and Henderson has a 40-yard run. That seems pretty fun. And then I do want to do a Pop Douglas slide. Because his number is just so low. So we'll do, that's the Hendo dart. We're going to do one more here. Let's do the Douglas. And let's slide him. I think we giga slide him, honestly. The question is, do we want to slide like longest reception? A 30-yard reception for 3.4, or you just take him, what's the equivalent would be like 45 yards? That's so low. I want to giga slide it. Let's do Demario Douglas to 60. He had that 100-yard game against Atlanta. His ADOT is pretty nice. Let's have a fun Demario Douglas slide. And then I say we run this twice with a little like Tracy reception slide. Play him in the receiving game with a little juice. Yeah, so if you do like Tracy up to 30, that's a 1.32. This is a 32.7. I'm going to run this twice. We're going to run Demario opposite Tracy slide. Sorry, guys. I feel I've entered the matrix here. We are cooking. Demario part 1. And then we're going to reuse this. And we're going to get a Theo slide here on receiving yards up to, we'll take him to 49.5. And this will be a 30x. There we go. All right. Demario part 2. And so we're pretty concentrated here on the Giants short area receiving game, Theo and Tracy, Demario Douglas, and then looking at dart touchdown, Hendo, big plays. I feel good about that portfolio of pick'ems for tonight. Good question, Emo. Unfortunately, he's asking who I have on After Dark this week. I do not think there's going to be an After Dark because I'm going to be in KC for the Dog Bowl. But I have to figure out my exact schedule. And I'm thinking I might do like a Thursday evening Best Ball Bash / After Dark before I go, partly because I might need to free up my Thursday afternoon to record the DFS shows because I'm going to be traveling Friday. I'm still waiting to hear back from JM, so I got to confirm that. But my tentative plan might be to do another Bash edition After Dark because I'm not going to be around Saturday night. But I appreciate the reminder for that because I do want to do a few schedule updates for this week. One, ADP Chasing is they're going to have their monthly show tomorrow. I assume it'll be kind of playoff best ball focused and best ball playoff preview. It's like such a tongue twister, playoff best ball playoffs. So tune in for that at 10 a.m. Eastern. Stat Chasing will be back tomorrow night for a week 14 edition. So 2 shows on Ship Chasing. Thursday, like I said, the schedule is going to be a little bit in flux. Block Party and Bully the Sims is not going to be on Friday. There's going to be no Friday shows until the evening. We're going to have Off and On the Clock live from the venue at the Dog Bowl. We'll figure out the exact time for that, but that'll be half a slate preview, half interviewing a bunch of the Dog Bowl participants. And then I think the plan, there's not going to be a Shipcast Sunday because I'll be in KC, but I think we're going to try to do a Shipcast meets Badge Bro style thing live from the event. So we'll try to be live, have the scoreboard up on the screen, filling you guys in, interviewing people who are sweating stuff out. Should be a good time. So going to have a lot of content for you guys from the Dog Bowl, including those 2 streams on Friday and Sunday. And I'll be sure to let you guys know the rest of the schedule as I get that firmed up for this week. All right, should we do our first look here? And I mean, now that we've decided on becoming a Playbook thought leader, the week 14 slate, yeah, that's all that we have up right now. Let me real quick look at the totals for this week. I know I was bummed. What do you guys think this Lions Cowboys total is? It's got to be over 50. I'm so bummed it's not on the main slate. Let's see. I'm on week 13. Let me tab over to week 14. 53.5. We finally get a good Thursday night game, and it's not on the main slate. Unreal. 53.5 there. Colts, Jags, 47.5. Steelers, Ravens, 43.5. Saints, Bucks, 43. Commanders, Vikings, 41.5. Save us, Brosmer. Miami Dolphins, New York Jets, 41. Oof. Bengals, Bills, 51.5. Okay, there's our cooker there. A week 17 rematch from the Cram year. Seattle Seahawks, Falcons, 43.5. Titans, Browns. My God, that is ugly. Tennessee Titans, Cleveland Browns, 33.5. Broncos, Raiders, 40.5. And then Bears, Packers, 45.5. Rams, Cardinals, 48.5. That's kind of a good late game hammer one for the dog bowl. Oops, what did I just click? 48.5 for Rams, Cardinals. That could have some juice. All right, let's do our playbook draft. Let's queue up Luke Farrell, Ollie Gordon, Kendrick Bourne. Who else do we need to get in here? Did I qualify for the dog bowl? No, I did not qualify. I am just going as a friend of Underdog. Ningwanu, that's right. Let's find him in here. There he is. Kenny, come in. Let's get the queue ready here. Is Farrell? Oh yeah, KC's not even on this one. That's a bummer. Can we get Ollie Gordon in here? Yeah, so no Bourne. Sorry, sidekick. There's no use with no ranks. Rams cards undervalued for Adams, McBride, Trey, Benson. Oh yeah, Benson could be back. That could be fun. Wait a second, T-Cage. Did you just admit that you are 16 entries deep in the playbook? Have you been mainlining playbooks since the segment I did? Tell me right now, T-Cage. Did that segment compel you to draft 16 straight playbooks right now? All right, let's do a quick overview of this slate. So quarterback, pretty strong. Allen, Lamar, Baker, Burrow, Nix, Jones, McCarthy. Actually, I take that back. Look at how messed up ADPs are. JJ McCarthy has a higher ADP than Matthew Stafford. What are we doing in here, playbook drafters? Tight end, we have McBride, Bowers, Warren, Strange, Andrews, Kincaid, decent there. Wide receivers, JSN, Puka, Chase, Adams, London, Olave. So yeah, hopefully we get London back. Running back, Cook, Bijan, Jacobs, Henry, Judkins, Chase Brown, Bucky. Not taking, I'm for sure taking JSN here. I'm going to buy the dip on JSN. I'm not scared. One down game flow, etc. T-Cage in deep. Incredible. It is good practice. It is good practice for sure. All right, let's do Chase. T-Cage, who's apparently our playbook thought leader here, getting us in on Jamar Chase. How many targets did he have on Thursday? I know he didn't score. Jamar Chase has the highest utilization score of rookie or of any wide receiver this year. Well, him and JSN are tied at 93. All right, let's see what Jamar Chase did on. I was literally asleep right after Derrick Henry scored that first touchdown, so I was not paying attention there. What Jamar Chase was doing in that game. 28% target share. 14 targets. Yeah, that's sick. 14 targets. These target totals are just unreal. 9, 12, 23, 18, 9, 9, 14. My guess is that JSN Jamar Chase is not going to be possible later in the week. Would just be my hunch. JSN and Jefferson run back the bottom 10 build from last week. John Ryan says, what if JSN plays another UNH QB? Did Kirk Cousins go to UNH? I got to give Cousins some credit, right? We've seen a lot of these dusty quarterbacks step in. He's been fine. Hasn't sunk the offense. Do you know who I kind of like? I think if I'm going to, who do I want to do at quarterback here? Oh, I think we just do Burrow, right? If we're going to do the Chase thing, we probably just do Burrow. The guy behind me is already blocked at running back. So I can sit on that. And all the tight ends are gone. So I think we just wait at tight end, and then I can figure out which running backs I want to play here. It's probably Harvey versus Las Vegas, right? I mean, Las Vegas just gets absolutely ripped up by basically everybody. Harvey, I guess Raiders, yeah, top 8 boosts there. Who do you guys think's the best running back play available here? I mean, Judkins does get Tennessee. That's certainly nice. But I think Harvey at Vegas, I kind of prefer. Just a better, I guess similar roles. I mean, Judkins had way more carries in that game. What do you guys think? Judkins versus Harvey. Who do you think's a better play? I think I'm going to go Harvey. I love TKH reporting from the front lines of someone who's 16 playbook drafts deep. He's already has this intimate familiarity with the draft board. I've been doing Judkins and Brees. So good. You know what? You guys chat's been on fire today. Good crew. I think you guys have earned one more coffee pour here. At 12:03 p.m. I don't normally have coffee afternoon, but we're going to do it here today. Who wants to call their shot early? Who wants to call their shot early? What do you think will be? It could be the winning play, the had to have it play on the Dog Bowl slate. So these are the 12-person drafts. You know what? Do you know what we should maybe do after this? Are you guys having a good time? You want to do a 12 person? Let's do that. Let's wrap up with that. I want to do this on Dog Bowl week. We owe it. We got 6 more people. I'll finish up this. I just poured a fresh cup of coffee, and I want to get your guys' thoughts on what is going to be the winning had to have it Dog Bowl piece or stack here. So I'm down to running back and tight end. What other running backs do we have here? We could do Kyron. I also think, man, Swift and Monungai have just been so consistent, and the workload is just really nice. I'm going to take DeAndre Swift. I think he's going to project a lot better. I should have taken my tight end first. That was a classic drafting mistake by me, but it's fine. There's your Jefferson watch. He goes at pick 30. Tyler Warren goes, which was a mistake. I should have taken Warren. Strange is here. Mark Andrews is here versus Pitt. Honestly, I'm going to stay on the clock, guys. I'm going to stay on the clock. Cincinnati is a generationally bad team against tight ends. Everyone scores against them. I'm going to play Dalton Kincaid. He seemed like he was close to returning this week. And if he doesn't play, I'll swap. I'll swap my playbook entries. I'll swap to Fannin if I don't. Don't worry, Alex. I will. Go AZ. I did go over my schedule about 15 minutes ago. Some of it's a little bit up in the air. I'll be sure to update on some other shows. All right. We are in the playbook draft. Mathology gets the influencer 101 and goes cook there against the Bengals. All right. Now we're cooking here. All right, let's get this draft board up here. Although my video box is kind of inconvenient for this one here. Ooh, what if I do that? That's good. TK is going to join us in the 12-person playbook. I'm not going to be ripping playbooks. I do not think so. I do not think I'm going to be ripping playbooks. Ooh, look at this. My guy Chris just sent me over the thumbnail for the Friday show from KC. Look at this beauty. Look at that beauty, baby. Dog bowl. Look at that. A little, even though KC's not on the main slate, you got to get some Andy Reid, Mahomes, Kelsey, Swift, alongside John, myself, and Nez. It's going to be fun. All right. Josh Allen going third here. Wow, look at all the quarterbacks going in this dog bowl to some Badgers too. All right, I am on the clock. What is up with these ADPs? What is going on? I think I probably should take Bijan. I think Bijan's the best pick here. These ADPs are hilarious. They're just all quarterbacks. Oh my goodness. All right, we're going to take Bijan there and not capitulate to big, bizarro quarterback ADP in the playbook. Yeah, is this the Superflex playbook? Do I need to go back and look at the settings and make sure it's one quarterback? Let me just go down here and check, It is just one quarterback. I don't see a Superflex. Maybe I do need to just clear my schedule this afternoon and draft 12-person playbooks. What are we doing, people? Even the badges giving in. We don't take Lamar Jackson at 7. We don't take Burrow at 5. We don't take Allen at 3. What are we doing? Like, I understand that the ADP just sets like this, and the whole point of this contest is to set the ADP. I guess I'm just more surprised by badges doing it here. Running back stuff. Man, Puka. Yeah, I'm down on Puka, certainly. We could do Puka or Bowers. Bowers versus Denver does not sound fun. I'm going to take the Puka slide here. We'll go Bijan and Puka. Yeah, no, I understand why it's ordered like that. Like, I'm not mad at the default ADP. I'm confused why people with badges are drafting Lamar Jackson at 7 and Josh Allen at 3 because of the anchoring effect to the default ordering is just so strong. Yeah, people talking about Ertz eating up Denver. Yeah, I think I'm fine with the Bauer stuff, but again, one of the things in the 12s is the value over replacement for the onesies is a huge deal to building out highly projecting teams. And what happens is even when you're taking McBride and Bowers early, a lot of times, depending on the slate context, you're just losing the 2v2s in projection on late round tight end versus round 2 wide receiver. Like the Puka versus whatever wide receiver I take or tight end in round 5 or 6, it's just going to project better than the Bowers versus whatever wide receiver you would take in 5 and 6. And it's not to say you should have a full fade on those guys. There's plenty of merit for elite tight end. But you are often losing the projection battle there, depending again on the slate and how the projections shake out for those guys. I think a lot of combos you're going to see in this room will probably be hard to get at the dog bowl because not a single one of these quarterbacks is going to go in the first round. Maybe Allen. What do you guys think? Allen's probably like a 1-2 turn pick. It is an awesome matchup versus Cincinnati. So Allen will probably be a fixture of round 1, but that's about it. It is fascinating to see this. So Mathology goes Igbuka and Waddle. Who do the Dolphins play again? Where were we? I have so many tabs open now. I guess I could just look in the app. Why am I going over here to look? The Jets. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, hopefully, yeah, big names that we could get back on this slate. Drake London, obviously. Trey Benson could be back. Kamara throws a wrench in the Devin Neal stuff if he's back, but that seems very uncertain. Higgins should be back. Who knows what's going to go on with Marvin Harrison? Kincaid will be one to monitor. Many brave soldiers have said that they are going to make the playbook their life's mission, and then they tire out. It does have to be the contest with the most EV available on the site. Will someone draft a Hawk Tua? You're right. The Hawk Tua is back available. All right, I'm on the clock here. We are not doing quarterbacks here. What are our wide receivers? We do Higgins, Q tag, ETN, nothing at tight end. Let's see here. Man, I do not like this here. I'm going to keep playing my Swift angle, but man, I don't love that. I don't have let's see. Let's find a better wide receiver play here. We do grab Swift, Bijan Swift. I don't love the matchup for the Bears, but they've just been so run focused in the role for Swift. It's been so solid that I don't mind taking advantage of it. I wonder at what point you just take the Higgins Q tag. Do we have any reports on Higgins? It's the concussion, so he should be back, right? I would think Higgins would be back. I think this is a good price for Higgins, right? Early round 4. He's going to move up. Let's grab Higgins. I mean, he's ahead of these guys as far as like caliber of player. I'm trying to think if I'm just making sure with these ADPs being bad, if there's no one I'm missing. I mean, you could. I'm wondering, do you take the other guy I was eyeing, and now I'm done at wide receiver, but I was thinking about Godwin there for a second. I guess the role wasn't as good as I remember. I just saw him drop the world's easiest touchdown, and it seemed like he was a little more involved. But yeah, Higgins over Godwin. So we got Bijan, Swift, Puka, T. Higgins. let's see. What are the running backs? So we have Aaron Jones, who's going to be questionable, most likely. Warren at Baltimore is not great. Kenneth Walker at Seattle in a split. ETN versus Indy in a split. Gainwell versus Baltimore in a split. Rodriguez in a split. Monungai in a split. Yeah. Running back thins out quickly. I should have gone with my guy. Bam with Benson back. Benson's probably the guy to take a stab on in these early drafts too. Is just like the Q tag swap. That's always one of the most interesting things for the Dog Bowl too. And one thing that's going to be different this year. Last year, the drafts were the drafts last year on Saturday night? Or were they Friday night or Saturday night? Now I can't even remember. I'm pretty sure they were on Saturday night, correct? And then this year, they're going to be on Saturday morning. They're doing more of a draft brunch. But we should still have most of the Q tag stuff available. I feel like the biggest news dump is really Friday afternoon. And then there's the occasional thing on Sunday. I guess we had the Josh Jacobs thing recently, but we should still have the majority of stuff. But because it is slightly earlier, Saturday night versus 11 to 5 p.m. this year, that'll be an interesting wrinkle of how much the Q tag stuff, if you have Trey Benson, questionable to return, stuff like that, will certainly impact how people approach the slate. Do not gamble grabs Godwin. Yeah, that was the other pick I was going to do if Higgins wasn't there. Now I need to figure out my quarterback and tight end stuff. So you got Jones versus Jacksonville. He's not running. Love at home versus Chicago seems nice. Lawrence home versus Indy seems nice. Darnold at Atlanta could be fine. Oh, what are we doing? Why is Brissett still available? Even versus the Rams, I mean, we just saw Bryce Young light up the Rams. Brissett has just been a pillar of consistency. This room's probably not going to let me have him. I know my guy T-Cage is going to take Jacoby after I found him down here. And then as far as tight ends, Juwan Johnson, Andrews, Kincaid, Pitts, Ertz, Otten, Hawk. How many targets did Hawk have yesterday? 6 targets, 6 for 59. The drafters behind me, there goes Brissett. That's such a good pick there. Brissett should not be available there. Who do we think's the best project? So Love home versus Chicago is probably my best bet here. Do you guys see anything better than Love versus Chicago? Not touching McCarthy. Daniels isn't going to play. Shuck, Taylor, Rogers, Shadur, Caleb at Green Bay. Nah, it's Jordan Love versus Chicago. And then tight end, I like this Kincaid Q tag. He seemed really close to playing. I know he's going to play 50 to 60% of the snaps. That's what he does every week. But again, the Bengals have been generationally bad against tight ends. And the difference in who you're swapping to here isn't bad. You swap to any of these guys, they're all the same. I'd rather, and I get the correlation here with T. Higgins as well. I don't think Daniels is going to play. Do you guys think? I mean, if there's been a report that I missed, let me know. But I don't know why they would bring him back at this point. Let's see. I guess the report was Jaden Daniels out today, but has a chance next week. My understanding is he at least has a chance of playing. No one has said firmly about whether he's going to be out there, but he does have a chance to get cleared 4 weeks from the injury, which would be great news for Washington. I guess there's a chance. He certainly makes sense as like a risk reward in the dog bowls in the 6th round would be my guess. But I would bet he doesn't go. I feel like the smart money is he doesn't play. So here's my first team in the 12s. Jordan Love, Bijan Robinson, DeAndre Swift, Puka, T. Higgins, Dalton Kincaid. Without forcing correlation, I kind of got some nice stuff here. Swift opposite Love, and then T opposite Kincaid, and then one off Bijan and Puka. There you go. Pile into the 12s, get your practice here. I do anticipate us getting a goal line stand this week with a pretty big prize pool. That was the MO last year when we had a $20,000 to first place one there. So that'll be something to keep an eye out for. As far as the schedule, no shows tomorrow, and I'll keep you guys up to date on the schedule for Thursday and Friday with some moving pieces there. But the Off and On the Clock, this show will be probably 7 p.m. Eastern time kickoff if you're planning on that. And yeah, I'll post a full schedule on Twitter and in the Discord if you guys are curious. Appreciate everyone hanging out. Congrats to all the winners in week 13. Nice to see a bunch of the kingdom doing well. And big good luck to our Elim finalists tonight as they anti-sweat and sweat Wan'Dale Robinson and all of that good stuff. Let's get that core again and keep this pick'em hot streak going. Thank you to producer Mark. We'll see you guys next time on the Port.